There's Ruger. How much wood would a wood chipper chip if a wood chipper was chipping wood? Today is kind of a product review. I bought a wood chipper, and why don't we go take a look at it, see what we got. Got Ruger with me today. He's gonna help. He's gonna keep watch on the goats while we run the wood chipper. When I was looking at these wood chippers, I called a friend of mine. He's got experience with a lot of implements and stuff, and he's never steered me wrong. And I asked him, I'm like, what do you know about wood chippers? And the first thing he said, he's like, you don't want to mess around with any of these little tiny gas-powered ones. These little $200-300 gas-powered ones, they're good enough for twigs, but they're really you're not gonna be happy with that. He said you really want something PTO driven or larger to really get done what you're doing. So I got to looking, and I found a guy who bought one. Wasn't quite what he was looking for, but I think it's going to fit my needs. And we got it out here. I got it on the back of the tractor, hooked up to the PTO, and I've got the work area staged and ready to go. We're gonna see how all this goes. Roger, you watch them goats. And we were out here a few days ago, and you see where I cut these trees off around the pond. This pond needs trimmed up pretty bad, and I needed some wood to hold down some of my silage tarp for my my pumpkin test plot here. And as I cut that wood up, I ended up with all this brush over here. And this brush, or excuse me, not brush, these tree trimmings here, and we're going to make mulch out of them today. These ones here are old cottonwood limbs, and I do kind of worry about these things re-sprouting in the compost pile or the mulch pile, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to see how it goes. Oh, the goats are coming to watch us. But what got me going down this path, looking into these wood chippers, is I'm working on educating myself on soil management. You know, the best composition, the best growing soils, the best balance of the soil. Because I have really messed my garden up. I've used grass clippings and other things in the past, and I've learned that I've really got my soil out of balance to the point where some areas of my garden struggle to grow a cucumber. And everything I'm researching and finding out is that leaves and broke down mulch are real good for your garden and your soil, and you really can't go wrong with those. Whereas when you're adding chicken manure, which I do often, or straw, or leaves, or what was the other one I put in there? Grass clippings. You can mess up. You can go too high nitrogen. You can go too high phosphorus. You can whereas as the wood clippings and or hardwood leaves, they're pretty balanced. It's you break that down, and that's pretty much perfect soil, from what I hear from people out there. So to do that, I got this wood chipper here. Again, it's a 3-point hitch. BX42S is what's labeled on it. It's PTO driven. I got it on my tractor here. My tractor is a 34 horse tractor, if that comes into play, if you're thinking of performance here. And you want to run this PTO down here on the 540 speed. And that's what this implement's made for. And my thinking with this mulch is that I make my own. I let it break down, because you don't want to use green mulch when you're growing plants and stuff, because all that sap is way too acidic for the soil. You've got to let it break down to where it's the constitution or the continuity of the wood is breaking down to almost fall apart, and that will at that point when it's losing its consistency of wood, then it is, turning to dirt, and that's when you're going to get a good growing compost out of your mulch. I've set my trailer up here. I've put a tarp on it, and the thinking is the chute from the chipper, there's the chips onto the tarp, and then when I get the tarp full or just at a manageable level, take it to my compost pile, pull the tarp to dump the chips out without making too much of a mess. So I'm going to fire up the tractor, fire up this chipper, and let's see how she works. How you doing, Bill? Sunshine? Keep it on them goats, Rigger. Get them away from the road. Alright, here we go. I'm going to start throwing some limbs in here. Start with something small, something harmless. Something a little bigger. That's a pretty decent stick. How about that? So, let's take a look at this shredded up wood chips here. Oh, that is obviously green, but that is mulched up nice. Look at that. You got some things shredded in here, some larger sticks or whatever, but for the most part, I think that'll break down nice. As for payback, it's going to be different for everyone. I don't know if I'll ever get my money's worth out of it, but the darn thing looked like fun, and I wanted to try it. And for what I'm doing, how much money I spend in mulch or soil amendments. Maybe I get my money out of it, maybe I don't. But as for now, I like it. It fits my needs. It's right in my wheelhouse. I'll say the guy that I bought it off of, he was running a tree trimming service, and in his opinion, it was too slow. And he was, he'd go and cut a tree down at a house or trim up a tree, and then he'd be left there at the end, chipping limbs. And he found it quicker to load them up, haul them to his farm, and burn them. Now, if I were him, he needs something more commercial grade, something faster, something with a higher horsepower, one of those ones where you throw them in and they suck them in and they throw it into a trailer and you're out of there. This is probably undersized for him, whereas that's probably too much for me. I think this is right what I was looking for. So, as you can tell, I got a brush pile here to get through. I got a few more limbs around here to get trimmed up, and I'll get back to you when the project's over, and we'll wrap it up. Well, we finished up the how much wood would a wood chipper chip if a wood chipper was chipping wood video, and I think we got some answers for you today. I hope you enjoyed the activity that we did. Just a quick recap here. Again, one of the things I neglected to mention when we started, personal protective gear. The safety glasses was a must. The hearing protection, once you start chipping, it gets loud. That should be worn too. And I like these called Work Tunes by 3M. Sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I don't, but man, those things are great and the battery lasts a long time. Typically I use it for mowing the yard, but they're good for any kind of hearing protection. The volume doesn't get too loud on the speakers, but it is loud enough you can hear it over the motor, or over the lawnmower, over the chainsaw, over this chipper, or whatever. But yeah, as far as the performance of the chipper, it took anything I could stick into it. It did plug up one time, and I think that was OE, operator error, if you will. I don't think I had my horsepower or the PTO on my tractor at a high enough RPM, and it didn't have enough throw, and it plugged the chute. Once I pumped the RPMs up on the tractor, didn't have another issue. And it wasn't that big of a deal when it did plug, because all I had to do is remove this bolt here, that hinges, and then you dig it out. And again, when you do that, don't have it running. Make sure if there's a lockout, a method for locking out, do that whenever you're messing with something like that. And I turned the tractor off, shut the tractor off, and pulled the key out before I partook with any unclogging that. But again, happened one time. And I want to reiterate, this is not a commercial grade piece of equipment. I would not expect to get rich making mulch or chipping wood for people. But for house projects, if you have a lot of cleanup projects that it might involve or be handy in, that'd be a good use. If you're feeling self-sufficient, good use. If you don't have access to burn brush, that's another opportunity. If you're in a burn-free zone, or if it's too dry to burn, that's a good time to use it. As you can see, we got quite a bit of mulch here, or quite a bit of wood chips. Ruger's still seeing what he can find. I put together this makeshift compost pile, we're going to call it. I had some extra block laying around. I've done this before, but in the past I've lost interest and it's fallen apart and whatever. But I think we got a good start here with this pile of wood chips in there. I can continue to add block to run it out farther if I need to. And when I start cleaning the chicken coops out for the spring here and getting that compost out of the chicken coop, getting that in there, that'll help. And I got a lot to do because I use the layering technique when it comes to bedding my chickens. Basically, You put wood shavings, wood chips, straw, whatever it is in there, whatever your carbon source is in there, and then they'll, they poop and whatever into that. That's the nitrogen. When it starts to smell and get nasty or wet, add more carbon, and that'll offset it. If you got a good balance if there's no smell. If it starts to smell, it's time for more carbon. Don't make the mistake I made. I found some hay for the same price as straw. To me, hay's more valuable than straw. Plus, I needed a source of greens for my goats in the winter. So I bought some hay. I used that as bedding for the chickens. Bad move. There's too much nitrogen there. The nitrogen-carbon mix ratio was off. It got gassy, and it was a problem. But we got that fixed. Got back on track. Straightened everything out. Wasn't too bad. So that's done. And now, as with all of these, hay's in the barn. The job is done. It's lunchtime, and I've got my Duluth Trading Company pants on, of course. There's pockets. These are the cargo pockets, and there's room for extracurriculars. And it's lunchtime, so today we're going to try a Hazy IPA by, I think that's Dogfish Head. Yep, Dogfish Head. I like my hazy IPAs. That's really my go-to these days. And I like Dogfish Head. Their Dogfish Head Double IPA, that's one of my all-time favorites. And this has been sitting in the truck a little while. It's probably about 50 degrees now. And honestly, that's about the temperature I prefer beer. Look at that head on there. I want to tell you, IPAs they're not chugging beers. There's too much alcohol in them. They're going to kick you in the butt. And it's more of a sip and more of a enjoy the moment kind of beer. I feel like I could chug that thing though. That's a good beer. That's a real good beer. I like that beer. So, till next time, enjoy your beers and get your projects done.